This afternoon, we'll be taking a look at Athletic Field. And just like this morning, the idea is to kind of give a brief overview, a short demo, and then try it out yourselves. So Athletic Field is an Android, iOS, and Windows app. We started working on this in 2019. We looked at some of the stats of folks that had been using field links in AthleticLIVE. And it's about 3% of all meets that were doing any kind of live field results. And it was considerably less than 1% of any high school meet that was doing any kind of field results. So we thought, maybe there's a better way, some way to make it much easier to allow a meet of any size to quickly download an app on, because everybody's got a phone, download an app, get a start list, and start entering some results in. And this works both online and locally. So other apps only work over a local network. Obviously, that's a big barrier to entry as well. If you're doing field results and you got to have a bunch of tablets that are all networked locally, well, good luck doing that at any random high school meet. That needs to be at a very large meet. So it can work that way because that does work better for some very large meets, especially at like an indoor facility. But it also works online. So the app receives the data from the internet. You start working on the app. And if the internet goes down on your app, that's fine. It just means you won't have any live field results that are online. But when you get back on the internet, the results go back up again. It doesn't interrupt the operator's flow. And that was a very important part for us is it can't require internet because you never know when the internet's going to go down, and the operator needs to be able to keep working with the app. So one of the things that I guess these two questions get asked to us a lot. When you're timing, you've got your finish links, your Eagle Eye machine. It can be one person that's timing, maybe entering field series off of sheets. But when you talk about a field app, you've got 6 or 7 field events that are going on. And how do you find the people to work this? And then how do you get the right equipment? Are you buying tablets? Are you using people's phones? And Dan's had a lot of experience with this, so I thought we'd turn it over to him and he can kind of give some of his thoughts on how he was able to solve these issues.
So on the officials and volunteers, most events, they're still going to want an official doing the paper copy, and that is standard, especially like in a collegiate event, you got that paper copy, high school invitational. Some league meets now, they use just the app. The app design, if you've used it before, the user interface, it can be trained to anybody within like a 1 to 2 minute demo. You get your 7 volunteers and you show them and you hand it off. So it's not something to where you have to like pull them in ahead of time and have this big long training. It's very simple to use, and the biggest thing that we found on our site is basically creating that. It's something that was totally new. We've never done field event results live before, and then all of a sudden we're going to do it. We're going to do 100 meets with live field in 2021, and the very first meet, we only had 1 meet on our schedule. It was the first weekend of the season, so we bring in our whole staff, and we did all the tablets, and that was kind of like our training for that. And then from there on out, we would send one person, usually an addition on a timing crew. So if you have one person on your timing crews, then you might want to think about having one additional person to support. If you usually have 2 people on a crew, then an additional person beyond that. It can be done without that, but usually on the timing staff, we'd like to have one additional person there. They can go roam around at field events, check in, see if there's any questions, take out a new tablet, because it is battery operated on that. Finding volunteers, we ask, it can be done at any type of person can do it, but if they don't know how they're going to find volunteers, we say, hey, if it's an invite, it's the varsity meet, you got JV runners, you got JV athletes, and again, they're raking pits and doing other things, but oftentimes there's enough of those kids as well that they can do the app. The app's used at like the Hayward meets, and one of the cool things about that is those officials, they get to use a whole bunch of different systems. They use field links, other custom systems. There's a lot of meets that come into that facility, but doing the majority of the meets there, and they use the field app. The comment that they get is they can bring another official over, and they can themselves train them how to do it really quickly. And for them to come back and give us the feedback that it's the easiest system that they use year round compared to any event in there is something that we take, and Ben's done a great job on that. But just in addition to that, I mean, really how we find it is, we show them the live results from the previous week, how we pushed it out first of all, and we said this is what it's going to look like. And so if you create a demo meet and you have live field results today, that's what you can take back and show people and creating that demand for it, and they're going to find the volunteers. The specific thing though is it can be any age. It doesn't have to be an adult. It can be a kid doing it. And a lot of times with a phone or an iPad, that you may prefer training those, and they're going to pick it up super quick. So the right equipment, were you addressing that one? So we use both iOS and Androids. iOS, iPads, iPad minis. iPad minis are main one. Those are going to be a little bit more expensive. There's some good Android ones as well, like in the $150, $200 range, that have worked really well. And we have a list of links that we can send out as far as like if you're looking to get tablets and that. So it kind of makes it so that if you're not paying $800 for a tablet and it gets rain-soaked or broken, you're not as worried about it. It can work on your phone. So one of my favorite things, Alan's sitting right here, he was timing a meet. We basically time here in Oregon. He went to one meet in Idaho, and it's a long drive, 6 hours from here, so that's kind of why we don't go over to Idaho. He was timing a meet, and they had live field results. They had field event videos at every single field event, and they're just using iPads. But they get to the point to where they have one javelin event that's left, and it's going to be like another hour. And he's all packed up. The timing setup is done, full. He's waiting to go, and the coach is like, "Hey, you can leave, and just I can keep a tablet and get back to you." And Alan's like, "No, you can actually do this on your phone." So, like they're in the middle of the event, he just shuts down the iPad. The coach types in the code on his phone, and he does the rest. Alan drives off, gets a text an hour and a half later. Field event's done, so he pulls over on the road, pulls it in, publishes the final results. And that's just the beauty of it. It's like it's not tied into just that single device. Like mid-event, switched over to another device. So anything that you can have if you have tablets already, the great way to start is, if you have parent volunteers are coming out and you have a local track that's kind of like the one that you test and try new things out on, have them pull out their phone. There's no cost to you to even try to start this. Most everybody has a phone and can download an app. It's on the Google Play Store and the Apple Store as far as that goes. When you're in the playing time down there and experimenting, there is going to be 2 total stations, and we'll talk about that more too. But you can hook up laser measurements to both Android and iOS. It works a little bit. It's easier to hook up a total station to an Android just because it's like basically a serial cable and then another adapter and it's plugged in. If you have it on an iPad, then if you need to hardline connect that, which you would need to for a total station, then you kind of have to have a network switch and a power source. So that's something to think about if you're connecting to a laser. Is an Android tablet would be the way to go on that one.
So demo time. So what I thought I'd do is just kind of go through the entire online sync process. It'll take 10, 15 minutes or so. And we'll be using high-tech for this, but this is very similar on Meet Pro. RunMeet's a little different, but we'll touch on how that works with RunMeet tomorrow. We'll get the entries out of high-tech. We will put those into the AthleticLIVE admin. We'll configure an event. We'll bring that event onto the phone, make a couple marks, see that those marks are going onto the live results. And then we'll look at how you pull those results out of the AthleticLIVE admin, bring them down into your high-tech computer, and then pull them into high-tech. So, just like 25 things, no big deal. Right here. So I've got a high-tech meet open right now. And if you are in high-tech, it does require a $99 plugin. So just FYI, you would have to buy that to use this with high-tech. It does not cost extra money with Meet Pro or with RunMeet. And much like in either Meet Pro or in Meet Pro and in high-tech, if you're updating start list for your photo finish, you would also update start list for your field results. And I'm just sending those to a particular directory. And that's going to create an EVT, an SCH, and a PPL file. And if I go to my directory here, just briefly show you here. So these files contain all of the entries. And we use this as opposed to using like the AthleticLIVE entries, just because it's making sure you get the right data and nothing gets overwritten. We're working with this particular copy of the entries. So if I go to my AthleticLIVE admin here, I've already got a meet open here. I'm going to scroll down to this field app section. So this meet's been set up as a pro field meet, and I've chosen that I want to use AthleticLIVE for my field app. And just for those that might not have done this before, when you are creating a meet, so I'm just going to edit this meet, but the create meet form is the same. When you scroll down and you select pro field meet, you then have the option of selecting where you want your live field scoreboard to be, whether that's the field app or field links. And there's a couple different options. Do you want to show wind readings? And are you running multiple flights of one or more field events at the same time? So I won't go into this right now, but I'm happy to talk about this later down at the workshop. But for example, say you've got 6 flights of shot put. You want to do flights 1 of 3 on one device. You want to do flights 4 of 6 on another device. This helps that work correctly in the live results, so we can have 2 pits showing at one time. In this case, this is configured the way I need to, so I'm just going to click the back button. So we'll scroll down to the field app, click Upload EVT and PPL, and I'm going to upload that EVT and PPL file that I got from High Tech just now. It's my EVT and my PPL. And click Upload File. It's going to upload those. And it's going to bring me to a dashboard of field events. These are all the field events that I exported out in those files. And a couple things to note here. A, these events are not yet configured. We'll do that in just a second. And there is a 6-character alphanumeric code. This is the code that you would give to someone that they would type into their device, and that's going to pull down the entries onto their device. So to configure these events, you can do it one of 2 ways. I can either go into each event, click on Edit Round, and for this hammer throw, it's going to ask me if I want to do metric or English. I'll say metric. If I want to do wind readings, no. Do I have finals? In this case, I'll say no. If I were to check this, then I would be able to enter the number of qualification attempts, how many athletes are reaching the final, and how many attempts they get in the final. In this case, we'll just do 3 attempts. So hit save. I think the much easier way to do this is you can download a CSV file. This CSV file is going to have all the events that are in this meet. I can open this and then quickly configure them. So if everything's metric, I can just copy that, bring that down to the rest of them. Trying to do a bunch of keyboard shortcuts with one hand is not particularly easy. So if I wanted to, I could do this. It makes it easier than trying to go into every single one, and it allows you to make sure that you're doing it correctly. Because if you were to go fill out 20 forms, it's a great chance that you would put something in wrong there. But for this example, I'm just going to leave it because we're just going to do this one event. Once you've configured everything, you got to hit this Sync Events to App button, and that is going to make the codes available for people in the app. And this warning is just letting me know that there are some that I haven't configured. That could be important if you are configuring a bunch and miss one. This just lets you know, hey, I missed one. So there is actually a way to access the Field app in a browser as well. But we don't recommend it because if for some reason internet gets lost, I don't know that it's always 100% reliable that the data won't disappear. So we absolutely recommend doing this on a device. But for testing purposes, you can go to field.tf. You just type field.tf in your browser, and that's going to bring you to the latest version of the Field app. Let me just get some events that I have in out of here. So I've got my code. I've given this code to the person running the hammer throw, and they're going to type that in. They're going to click on Load Around, and I'll just copy that in, hit Submit, and now I've got all 3 flights of my hammer throw. So I can click on Flight 1, and let me go ahead actually, I'm going to pull up the live results so we can take a peek and kind of see that the live results are updating from this. So to do that, I'm just going to go back to my admin page and click on a share URL. And so once I go into here, we'll go ahead and put these side by side. So the first thing most people are going to do when they come into the Field app is check people in. There's 4 checkboxes or 4 tabs down here. Go to my check-in screen. I can click on someone to check them in.
The right side of the screen, that's what it would look like on the device when you pull it up? Is that what you're showing us? Just like that.
Yeah.
Yes, this is what. Yes. So when you pull this up on your device, it's the same exact thing. Yep. You can click on them once to check them in. Click on them once to say they're scratched. Click on it again to clear. Or I can click to check them all in.
Can you add athletes?
You can, yes. And that is done. If I go to my sidebar here, click Add Athlete to Flight, I have the opportunity to search my roster via a competitor number or via a name.
But they have to be in the high-tech database to add them, though, correct?
So yes, correct. Well, you could technically do a manual entry, but this does get into kind of an issue with being able to sync your databases. We allow this to happen because if you are an official at an event and somebody is in an event, you don't necessarily want to have to go back to the high-tech operator, tell them to add this person, then go through that entire process again. It's better to allow them to do it here. And I will show you at the end of this, we'll go ahead and add somebody. This is a great question. I'll add somebody. And I'll show you that back on this Field app page, it lets you know that a change has been made. So that way in your meet management system, you can make the corresponding change and the data will come in correctly. So let's go ahead and add this person. It just asks me if I want to add more athletes or I want to check the athlete in. If I were to keep this checked, it would keep me on this page. If I uncheck it, it's going to bring me back to the check-in page or officiate page.
Can you add an athlete that's not on the roster?
Yes. So same thing, I go to add an athlete. I go to manual entry right here, and then I can type a name. So, and then it's going to give me a list of teams that are in this meet. We don't allow entering of teams that are not in the meet because it seems like that could cause some trouble. Yes. Right. So I'll go ahead and add that athlete and check that athlete in. And if we go look, they should be at the bottom here. So both those 2 athletes are in at the bottom here.
Does that create a ID number for them, or is it just, okay?
You can add an ID if you want.
Okay.
But you don't have to. It's not
All right.
required. At the end of the day, and actually I had this page up so it refreshed, but now it's telling you here, hey, there have been some changes that have been made in this flight. If we scroll down, we'll see that the original didn't have these 2 athletes. The new does have these 2 athletes. So it's just letting you know you need to update your database or it's going to get mad at you. Sure.
Oh, I think you just answered my question. So to get that back to high tech, there's an update?
You have to do that manually. So this is telling you, because there's no real good way to write back to the high-tech database. In the future with Run Meet, this will be automatic. It's not automatic right now, but the idea is that at least when this happens, that will get back to Run Meet at some point. So if I go back over here, I'm going to just uncheck a few of these folks just to get this a little cleaner. Cool. So now I've got 5 athletes in my flight. If I go over to my live results, and notice a few different pieces of information here. It's telling you who's up, who's on deck, who's on hold, and it's telling you that there's 3 more jumps for this athlete, and they've currently made 0 jumps. If I click on this, you'll notice that over here, this just popped up as live now because I went into the first athlete in this event. So I'll go ahead and type, I don't even know what a good hammer throw is. I should. Anybody know what a good hammer throw is in metric? 15? Okay. So 50? 50. I was about to say 15. Somebody messing with me?
High 60s, low 70s.
Yeah.
Depends on what level.
Yeah. So as I type down here, I'm getting a green background here. It's telling me 50.67 meters, and also it's giving me the English conversion. And it would do the same if you were typing in English. It would give you the metric conversion. If I hit save here, actually, if I hit save here, it now says that this athlete's done 1 throw. If I click over here, we'll see that she's now in first place, and this is the person that was up now in the last mark. If I click on the next person, that's going to change who's up now, and it's going to highlight her as well. And I can type in 4987, hit save, and that's all going to update automatically. So there's a number of other features that exist here. It is possible to reorder athletes. It's possible to change the settings once data comes in. So if I forgot to check wind readings, I can change that. I could change the number of attempts if I had to. So it gives the officials some ability to make changes on the fly if they have to.
Can you jump off?
Yes. Yep. So yeah, that's something I would recommend. Give that a try. So after this, we have created 3 field events for everybody, and downstairs on the table by the door, you'll see your name, your company name, and 3 events and 3 codes. So you can go right downstairs, plug a couple codes in, and start playing around.
And could you move a person from one flight to another flight?
Yes. So I think, so I've got 3 flights here. So if I go back to my check-in page and I swipe to the left, I have a substitute and a move. So if I click move, that's going to allow me to change them from flight 1 to 2 and change the position of that person. If you want to move within the flight, there's a 4-way arrow up here. Click on that and drag up and down. So I've got 2 marks in. If I go to standings, I'm going to be able to see the standings for this flight. If I click on this button, I can change that to round standings. And what's extremely helpful at the end of a flight, especially if you've got someone that's also doing paper and you want to make sure that everything matches, you click on review, and this is going to show everybody in order. If you see that something is wrong in here that's right on the paper, just click on that 4987. I can go back, change it to an 8, save it, and that's updated.
And if you move somebody, is that another one where you get the red box and
Yes.
back on the meet
So yeah,
program?
I'll do that now, just so we go take a peek at that. So yeah, if I move, let's move this person. Let's see what's their name. They're in the heat, so I'll change her. We'll move her to flight 2, position 5. And if I go here and refresh this page, it's going to let us know that, hey, this has actually changed a lot. That number 5 is no longer this number 5, and we want to make sure that it matches what's in the right side here. So if I go back to officiate, so let's say that I had, and I guess there's a couple other things here, just brief perspective. If for some reason you were just doing some test marks and you want to reset your flight, bring it back to its original state, you can just click on reset flight. I'll hit cancel. I don't want to do that. There's also a dark mode too. Sometimes that's nice outside. So let's say that I have finished this flight, and there's a few other things too that I encourage. Just click around, you'll find a bunch of different settings. So yeah, let's say I've finished this flight and I want to get it's going to create an LFF file, so similar to an LIF file that Eagle Eye or Finish Links would create. And you're going to pull that back into your meet management system. So I will go back here, and to get that, you got a couple options. You can click this button, and it's going to download all LFFs that have been uploaded. So anything that has any kind of results will be uploaded, or you can download by round or by the flight. So I'll just hit download. You may be thinking that this should be easier, and you are right, it should be easier. We're very close on a feature that will sync these results down automatically if you have AthleticLIVE local running. So you don't need to worry about downloading the results. It's just as you enter in the Field app, those LFFs update automatically. But for now, we have to do it the old way. So I'm going to go ahead and put this zip file in the X drive, save it, and then I've got to go extract that zip file. And then, that LFF file needs to be in the folder that has the SCH and EBT files. I'm cringing thinking about how many steps that is. So I think we'll get this this automated sync done faster. So I've got my file right here, and if I go back into high tech, and I go look for, I believe it was event number 1, women's hammer throw, and hit get marks. It's going to get mad at me because I have not made the changes that were made in the system. So let me go ahead, I'll reject that. And at the very least, I want to get that one person we moved into the correct flight. So if I go back to view changes here, so Brenna Board, or no, we moved her.
Yeah, you inserted her at number 5 and pushed everyone else front.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, or I took her out and added. So I took her out and then added. Cool. And then added 2 people, but I'm going to go ahead and leave those people out. You can still pull the file in, but the key is making sure that all the positions match up. So yeah. So yeah, so 5, 6. Yeah, okay. So save that, pull this in. It's still not going to like it because I've added 2 people, but I'll just hit accept, and then the marks for those 2 people that I made come into high tech.
Ben, there's no, when you finish a field event, there's no way to mark it as done to where you get a notification on the admin page. Is there?
Not at the
know
moment.
It's done?
That's a really good idea, though. Yeah, I think it's something we need, is for the official to be able to just on the app hit I'm done, and that can let you know somehow.
So we have even when field link's not, I gotta look around.
Yeah. Right. So just in a nutshell, that is what online sync is. So in the workshop downstairs, let me get back to my, we'll look at that first and then we'll head back to what's next. So in the workshop downstairs, I think there's really 2 main things that are important to try. One, the paper we have that has your codes on it. Definitely pull those into your device, make some marks. There is one meet, this link right here, this live.athletic.net/meets/20008. That's going to have live results for everybody in this room right now. So you're going to pull your code in, you're going to make some marks, and you'll be able to see the live results there. Now, because you didn't upload the entries to your meet, you won't be able to pull the results down. So once you've played around with that and feel comfortable enough with the Field app, I'd recommend that you do what I just did. And on your worksheets, there's a QR code that'll link you to the directions to do that. So creating your own meet, whether it's in High Tech or Meet Pro, and just going through that process of getting your entries in, pulling it down to your tablet, and getting it back in, or making marks, and then getting it back into the meet management system. And where we want to go next with this. So we do currently have laser integration with throws. So I think we integrate with 4 different total stations. So if you have people that use total stations, there's a good chance that we've integrated with that one already. But we do also want to make it work with horizontal jumps as well. So that's very much kind of the next priority for the Field app. Rulebook support, so being able to say that this is an NFHS meet or an NCAA meet, because there are a lot of little things that are different. We want to be able to support that. So like for example, right now, I don't know if you saw it, but there is a count up timer. So when you pull someone up, you can see that this person's been up for 90 seconds. Well, NCAA and NFHS, depending on the event and depending on whether it's finals, how many people are left in a vertical event, that could be a countdown timer that would tell the person what it is, as opposed to someone having to know what that is. So that's very much on the, that's coming up soon. Dark marks, which is if someone throws and it's considered to be a foul, but they think they didn't foul and it's going to be contested at some point, being able to save that mark but then put foul in, so that way if it does get reinstated, you've still got that mark available. Right now, heights can only be added when you're creating an event in the admin, but for multi-events and a number of other events too, I mean, it happens all the time when you don't necessarily know what the heights will be until you are right at the event. We want to make that functionality available in the app. And then the the last bullet is what I was talking about, where instead of having to go through that process of hitting the button to download and extracting and then moving and pulling it into high tech, that just all goes to one directory automatically.
Can you change heights right now? Like, let's say,
You can.
like if
Yeah.
you're running pole vault and you're like, I don't know how it's going to go. I'm going to put in 200 heights, and then you can change some of those top end ones, right?
Yes. Yep. I was going to show it, but I've got a horizontal event on there now. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One of the events we have for everybody is a high jump. So it's got some heights set, and you can add heights to that and change heights as well. And it'll get mad at you if you try to change a height where someone's already got a mark. It'll let you do it. Yep. So if it ends up as a jump off, the app's going to walk you through the whole process. It's going to say you need to do a jump off, and it knows how many centimeters or inches needs to go up and down, and it walks the operator through that entire process. Which I think it was last week a guy said that he didn't even have to go over and talk to the person to explain how to do it. It just walked them through the entire process, and then it was all done. Now, unfortunately, with jump offs, at this point, there's not a meet management system that kind of automates pulling that data back in. So for high tech, you've still got to go create a jump off event, and you can't really do field series because high tech won't let you make, if you're going down, it won't let you go down. And I'm not sure if Meet Pro is the same, but eventually that will be built into Run Meet for sure if we want to be able to make that jump off process as seamless as the app is. Any other questions before we break out and head downstairs? Yeah.
Five Alive. You know,
Yeah.
I've tried doing that and I just can't wrap my head around it on like how to make it work.
Not alone.
Yeah. So yeah, it does support 5 Alive. So I will just go into the admin real quick here. And so if I go to pole vault here, it asks if I want to do a live groups, and then says how many I want to stop, and it's usually 5 and 9, I believe. And then it walks you through that process. So instead of having up now, who's next, it has the numbers, and then you just always go through whatever. Yeah, it walks you through it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so I think the next step, Dan, did you want to say something?
You want all of your live results that you were showing
Yeah.
a minute ago? So as you demo this downstairs, obviously if you have your own device, you can use that. If you haven't downloaded it onto your phone, it's on the Apple Store and Google Play Store. But we also have a series of, I think there's boxwood back there, but 10 to 20 down there. So
Dan
there's
hijacked
20
my results.
iPads that you can grab. If you just want to grab an iPad and you do it off there if you have an Android, and as you're going back and forth between the total stations as well. So here on your checklist, so take your checklist down there, and that QR code on your checklist on the side of it, if you haven't scanned that during the scoreboard session, if you scan that, that'll actually give you really detailed step-by-steps on any of these things that Ben has for the 3 different levels. One of the things on the checklist is play with. What does it look like to have a video? So after Ben put those 2 marks in, I memorized his 6-digit code. In that room, I typed it in here. That's why you keep that 6-digit code, with the timer. Yeah. But then I pulled it up. I added some more events, and I did a recording of him for like 3 seconds, and I typed in the mark. So if he clicks on the video, slow loading. No. So you can play with that on your own as you do them. Like take a video in 3 seconds, type in a mark, and click save, and then it's going to upload. It will upload. I promise you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing there. Tomorrow when we do Run Meet, that's where you're going to see, like Ben mentioned, like all these different steps. That's where then you get to see the next level of with the Field app. You click a button, it pulled in all those files for you. You didn't have to save your EVT, PPL, SCH files, and then when you type in marks on your iPad, they're there right in there in Run Meet. There's no downloading and importing. It's there and it flows back and forth. It flows back seamlessly. He mentioned that we're going to be making it so that if they make a change out of the event, then that will flow to Run Meet as well.
So I know what the bug is, and if you're doing online sync with high tech, make sure you have full team name checked. We need to make it work for a short team name. Didn't like that very much.
There we go.
But if you're in Meet Pro, it doesn't matter, and same for Run Meet. And then also, it will work with your with the test codes that you have when we go downstairs.
Cool.
Let's
go play.
Real quick at the end, there is, anybody who's familiar with the Field app, feel free to join me right away. If at any point you want to join me, I'll be over by the 2 total stations talking about the laser integration with the total stations because we support that for throws. We'll have several models of total station. So feel free to join me and I'll talk to you about how to hook up to that and what the easy way is and what the hard way is.